Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eddie Marcus. Again, I want to thank you for viewing this production. You know, it seems like every time I turn around, I'm sitting down preparing something for you. And I hope I'm not overdoing it, but I cannot help myself. You see, every time I get clear understanding, new revelation, I feel that it's just as important that you get it. And I have to give it to you as often as it comes to me, because if I try to hold it off until a certain time, then I got too much compiled up. And rather than being able to give it to you in a 30-minute piece or an hour, it might take 2 or 3 hours. And I know it's very difficult to keep you constrained for that period of time. Nevertheless, I'm here today, and it's because I've got something that I want to share with you that is very essential. Let me ask you a question. If God approached you through the Spirit or through some form that you would be able to recognize that it is God, and God said to you, I want you to go out and remind the world, remind your community, remind everybody that you have access to, that I am God, and all things that exist are mine. And nothing that I have created owns anything. Everything and all things belong to me. And that here in America and across the world, systems that exist are not in harmony with my desire. Go forward and tell them that. Now immediately you know that if God said do that, the devil says don't do that. Not only, if the people are not doing things God's way, they don't want to hear it. So the question is, if God has commissioned, has pulled you aside, set you aside, gave you a mission, and said go do it, would you do it? Be honest. Nobody's there with you in your mind and in your heart. Answer the question honestly. Would you do it? I asked you that question. And I asked that question to a mother today. A mother. And she said to me, out of all honesty and sincerity, I don't know. I asked the son, would you go? And the son says, I guess. I said, no, take your time. There's no right or wrong answer here. Just be honest. And the son said, I don't know. A little bit later on, I asked the preacher, would you go? And the preacher said, that's what I'm doing all the time. That's what I'm doing all the time. And the reason that I mention these three particular people is because these three particular people are going through some changes. Changes that they wish would go away and something new would come on. And I understood the mother, I understood the son. There needs to be some adjustments in their lives that they themselves have to make. But the preacher justified and said he's doing it already. He's preaching that the world as we know it is not of God, and that it should change. But I mention the preacher because what he personifies, ladies and gentlemen, is talk. I mention the preacher because the preacher is going through the same changes that the people that he is talking to are going through. So what is required to make a difference? Other than talk requires action. Action. So if the preacher is saying thus and thus and so, that this is wrong and this should be done, then it is incumbent on the one who professes to know to take the necessary action and become an example, become a light. The fact that he's going through these changes, that's no mystery. People go through changes because here is the mechanism for learning to start doing what is required to be that light. And in being that light, the people that he is preaching to can see words put into action. And the two can be an empowerment to take care and do God's will. Now, I hope something there. I've been given to get it to you. I'm sure it has some purpose. I hope you see it. I'd like to also ask you, what is hell? What is hell? Many of you who are intelligent would probably say that hell is anywhere that God, anywhere, anything where God is absent from. And you can bet your last money that most people would agree with that. But now we have been told from the church that hell is where fire and brimstone is. And I'm not going to say that it is not, because perhaps for the worst of people, it would only take fire and brimstone to correct them. But that can also be a distraction from hell, the obvious hell. Obvious hell is amongst systems where people are feel and experiencing pain and suffering every day. Pain and suffering being experienced every day is a sign that God is absent from that. And you would find people trying to justify and say, well, you are poor because you don't love God. While all the while the people are poor because somebody has infringed upon their rights. Somebody has stolen or taken from them that which has been made available to them by the Creator. So there might be many different reasons why a person may experience pain and suffering. But its existence is evidence that God is absent. And I say this, ladies and gentlemen, because here in the United States of America, people are going through extreme pain and suffering nowadays. Now, there are people in other parts of the world who would look at the pain and suffering that America is going through right now and call it nothing. They would love to trade their pain and suffering for this pain and suffering. Nevertheless, Americans see it as extreme pain and suffering. They're losing their health insurance. They're losing their jobs. They're losing their pension funds. They are losing their homes. They are not able to afford energy or heat and other things that they've grown accustomed to. And to them, this is pain and suffering. And yet we have a system that will take the people's money and bail out institutions of the establishment. The people's money and bail out institutions of the establishment, but they will not take the people's money and bail out the people. No, if people cannot afford homes that they bought, they will be evicted and the sheriff will come and throw them in the streets. I'm glad today that I heard on the news that in Chicago, the sheriff department has decided that they were not going to continue throwing people out in the streets, out of their homes. They said it is wrong, and it is wrong. Now the establishment want to call them what? I can't think of the word right now, but they want to call them out there taking the law in their own hands. You know what I'm trying to say. I just can't think of it right now. But what they are doing is right. Some of these people have paid their rent, but the owners who own the property have not paid the mortgage. And now these people who have done everything that they were supposed to do are being thrown out in the street. You could take the people's money and bail out the establishment, but you cannot and will not take the people's money and bail the people out. And for those who are caught up in debt, who have lost their jobs, whose intentions were good from the beginning, but are not able to pay their financial obligations, who are being drawn into court and say, I cannot pay. In many places throughout this country, they are being imprisoned, put in jail. They call it debtor's jail, debtor's prison. Is that right? Is that right? You know, it is not right. The highest office in this land, they say, is to be the President of the United States. I keep trying to think of this word that represents people who take the law into their own hands. It's right down the tip of my tongue and I can't say it. I wish I could. You know what I'm talking about, hun. Well, anyway, it'll probably come to me before this session is over. Let me go back to the highest office in the land. They say it's the President of the United States. I totally reject that. Nevertheless, they say it's the President of the United States. Now, you got people who want to be President of the United States. And in this presidential campaign, we have individuals who have, on the one hand, denounced others who are spokesmen for God, totally detach themselves from them because the constituency disapproves of what a particular pastor has said. And because a person wants the highest office in the land, they said, okay, I disassociate myself from that person and that person's references to the conditions and causes and answers and solutions to the problems that exist. On the other hand, you have people who want to be in this particular office, who would go out and deceive the public by taking words out of a statement made by a candidate and re-entering those words into a different situation to give a different impression, to give a different image of the person to its constituency in efforts to deceive them into giving them their support. Lying, deception, and the people are buying it, even when they know it's a lie, because here within the system, others have gone out and verified that it is a lie and given it back to the people, and it doesn't matter. The people approve of it and will go and do everything they possibly can to put this lying, deceptive individual into office. Now, you're already talking about the lesser of two evils, so we got two evils, that's all you got going for yourself, and they are being supported by the people to the highest extent. So what do you get? A deceptive, lying institution. Well, even in this mix, you have people, it gets me, I'm still thinking about this group who takes the law into their own hands. Oh my goodness. Somebody give it to me so I can get it out of my head. I want you to know what I'm talking about. Oh man. Well anyway, let me get back. So you have individuals within this population who will say, well, let me be more specific. In Pennsylvania, there have been a group of white people who have said that they would not vote for a black, and incidentally, one of the candidates for president of the United States during this time is a black man. They would not vote for a black man under any circumstances. They would not vote for a black man. And let me kind of be fair with my own knowledge that there are blacks, I'm sure, who will not vote for a white man under any circumstances. But it hasn't come out publicly like the whites have said. And yet, I can guarantee you that those whites who would not vote for a black man would want to hold a black man to every rule and law that has been established by the white man, even if it works against the black man. They would want to hold him to it, and if he will not follow, then they would want any punishment that's supposed to be, or that has been set aside for anyone who violated, to suffer it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what am I saying to you? I'm trying to say to you that this is hell. You might be rich, and a lot of problems that people feel, you don't feel. Nevertheless, This is hell. You say, why is it hell? It is hell because there are people whose experience here is hell. And as long as they experience that this is hell, it is hell. And if you don't feel it, that's because you are part of the creation of hell. And if you do not fight back to get rid of it, and I'm not talking about fight back like hell fights, but the good way of fighting back, that's resisting and standing up to what is wrong, then you are contributing to hell. So I want to say this unequivocally. This is hell. And let me tell you something. Vigilantes. Vigilantes. That's that group I'm talking about. They say these sheriffs in Cook County are vigilantes because they're taking the law into their own hands. They're not vigilantes. They are people who, with the spirit of truth and honesty and righteousness is touched. And they have decided to do that. They have decided to do what's right, which is a requirement of us all. That's why we cannot, any of us, escape. Let me tell you this. There is an incorrigible one in your home. They can get to the extent that the parents will say, you gotta go. You got to go. And they're put out. And while parents might be loving, they will not allow that incorrigible one come back until some changes have been exhibited. They feel that the person has been rehabilitated, you can come back to this home and act right. They can come back. We have the story about the prodigal son who exercised his own free will. I want mine. I want to go. Okay? You go. I give you yours. You go. And they go out there and live in hell. And one day, they wake up and they say, I am in hell. I want out. And they make a decision of their own free will. Sure, there are conditions that help them, but they themselves nevertheless express their own free will and says, I'm ready and I'm willing and I want to go back home. And when they made that decision, they were received back home. Now, when he came back home, he didn't come back home with the attitude like I missed them. He didn't come back home with the attitude like I want to go back. He didn't come back home with the attitude like you asked me back. No, it is of your own free will to go back. Now, what am I trying to say to you? This is what I'm trying to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, and this is overly important. I want you to know this, because I know others are not telling you this. That don't mean that no one is telling you this, but if it is being told, it is so little that it can't. Let me tell you, this has been on my mind for years, but I never had the courage to just tell you. I might have said it once, but you can bet your last month I haven't been out there joyously spreading it. But right now, I got to tell you. I got to tell you. Here's what it's all about. You are living in hell. We live here. We made the decision that we wanted to come to this planet. We wanted to live on this planet. It was our own free will. And the Creator provided us an avenue to express that free will. And here we are. We were told from the beginning that if we act on this planet the way it is designed to be in heaven, we could experience paradise. Some people might call it the Garden of Eden. But nevertheless, we would be satisfied. We don't. And we are not satisfied. We are not satisfied. But how many times have individuals died? And people say, well, they're gone to heaven. Thank God my mother's with heaven. My daddy's with heaven. Oh, that preacher's with heaven. Oh, that child is with heaven. I don't know about the child, because children are innocent, but adults aren't. They're in heaven. Now, here's the great mystery that I want to let you know about. It might have been your mother, and she might have been a good woman to you. Might have been your dad. Might have been somebody that was very close to you. You know, we let gangsters go to heaven now. People get killed in the process of killing folks go to heaven. I'm going to tell you something. That incorrigible one that was put out of your home, you didn't let that one back until they got it right. That prodigal son who left home did not even want to go back home and didn't go back home and was not received back in home until they got it right. What makes you think that your low down, dirty, evil self, who don't care about people, who allow people to suffer when they don't have to, but because you live in a system that grants you yours, or you live in a system that intimidates you and have you afraid to stand up, gonna let you back into heaven. Gonna let you back into heaven. Come back up there and corrupt what's already up there. Oh, you say Jesus forgives you. Let me tell you, because your preachers who are not led of God have deceived you, and they've interpreted the word wrong. What does forgiveness mean? Forgiveness means this: that you, my friend, the prodigal son who went out on his own and did his own thing and made up his mind, said, I am not this person any longer. I want to go back. In his heart, he was saying, I'm tired of this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm through with it. I have changed. And when that was real, that one was forgiven. That incorrigible one who left home, who wanted to just do his own thing because he was bad enough, mean enough, tough enough, and wasn't going to listen to anybody, recognized that that is not the status that he wanted to be in, and decided by his own free will that he was changed. He was changed. He or she was changed. That one was forgiven. And you, who have been abusing people all your life and thought it was right, who decided that this is wrong, there's no way I want anybody to treat me this way, and I don't want God to treat me this way, I am going to stop, I am through with it, I'm not going to do it anymore. God, forgive me. You are forgiven. You are forgiven. Those of you who have said that I've been down overly cautious because of my life and all of what I understood, and I've been down and had an idol God, God that created me, I put aside, and I took the God that would put me in jail. I took the one that would beat me and enslave me and kill me. I made them my God. But no longer will I bend to that which is not true. Not only will I be weak to the extent that I will be a slave, not again. I am through with it, and when you mean it, you are forgiven. You are forgiven. But unless you die, as soon as you say that, as soon as you have made that change, unless you die at that moment, you got a responsibility. You got a responsibility. That kid who's incorrigible, who comes back into that home, has a responsibility to act different. To act different than he was before. To act different. And they will act different or they're not welcome. That prodigal son who said, I am through, and go back home with the father with exhibiting that same character that he had when he left. Oh, this time I'm sure he'll be asked to leave. So in order to get back, you got to change. And when you change, these are the qualifications for being received back. Now, for you, here, in your life form, in your body form, who say that Christ has forgiven you. Christ died on the cross for you. I'm going to get to that a little bit in a minute. But you've been forgiven because you recognize the evilness of your ways, the deception of your ways, and you recognize the truth. And you choose truth over lies and deception and deceit. That's when you're forgiven. But if you are not taken away at that moment, you are committed to walk in the light, to walk in truth. And how you used to treat people, you don't treat them like that anymore. And the way you went along and allowed others to get away with the way they treat them, you don't allow them to do that anymore. You stand up and exhibit what is the right way to treat people. In the midst of all that bad, evil way that people are being mistreated, now you stand up and give life to the right way to treat people. That's what you do. That's your commitment. That's your obligation. That is the evidence that you have accepted your forgiveness. For those of you who have been humbled and who have been slaves and beat down and went through pain and suffering because of the conditions that have been imposed upon you, you have said that you are not going, that you learned the truth. Now you will stand up and represent that truth. You will represent that God Almighty made everything, all things belong to God. And it will be treated as so by your power, and you will not submit or subject yourself to anything that is ungodly or the way that God would not have it to be. You'd rather die graciously. You would commit your head to have your neck split right away than to serve another God. Because the God that has made you is able to keep you. And if you leave here, it's because the God Almighty has something better for you. And that's your faith. So don't think just because you say God, Christ died on the cross for you, that you can do anything you want to do. You don't have to, you can keep on bending down to a God that treats you like a slave. Or you can keep on giving in to the God that treats others like a slave. And you die and you think you're going to heaven. I don't think so. Now, somebody says, well, you can't be no judge, how you? And I can't be no judge. But I'm going to tell you this anyway. I don't think so. You don't have to believe me. You keep straight on doing what you're doing. But you better take it. I would advise you to consider what I'm saying. Now, you say this thing about Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins, to cleanse you. You got all these preachers in that ripped you off of all your money, having a fantastic life while you're going through all kinds of changes, some of you. And some of you are just getting money and having a good time just like they are. And they tell you that once forgiven, saved, you're always forgiven and saved and stuff like this. But let me tell you this. What they didn't tell you about Jesus Christ dying on that cross, this is what you missed. When Jesus Christ died on that cross, he had already said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. When Jesus Christ died on that cross, it was a symbol to every human being that ever came into the knowledge of Christ, that in a world where sin is rampant, I don't care how good you get, because none could be any better than Christ according to the message that we received. I don't care how good you get, unless the masses of the people get good. Unless the masses of the people get good and overpower through their living as a love letter, their living as a light unto the world, their living as salt unto the earth, unless they come together collectively and empower and overshadow evil and create thy will on earth as it is in heaven, the good man will die. The good man will be killed. The good man who was doing God's will in the midst of hell will be killed. The fact that Jesus Christ died on that cross is an indication to every person that would be good that you yourselves, if the conditions don't get right, will have to die. You will have to die, because if you refuse to die, It's because you are not in the light. You are now in the dark. You don't know the truth. You might have thought you did, but you don't. But to know the truth protects you from the fear of death. Because that is the ultimate price that a person, by their own free will, choose to serve the creator of all things that exist, including themselves, than to bend down and bow to something other than the original God. Now, that message you haven't heard. Now, let me ask you this. How many people do you know died being good in God's service? And I'm not talking about died because they went over trying to kill people in a war, an unjust war. People get killed in an unjust war. That's not in God's service. People get killed in a just war. That's God's service. What is a just war? You might ask. What is a just war? A just war is self-defense. A just war is when you are living as God would have you live, and somebody wants to exploit you. And you, because you do not want to die, and you do have the right to defend yourself as a nation. And in defending yourself, you end up dying. That's a just war. You as an individual, people might come on you. You have the right to defend yourself. That's a just self-defense, even if you're killed. But when you stand up for God all across the board, there's nobody that you can kill. I'm going to kill this one, I'm going to kill that one. No. That's not the way you justify righteousness. Righteousness means to give light to the truth. And allow yourself, if you're going against something like a system, you can't destroy a system that way. So you allow yourself to be killed. Now you say, well, I'm not going to allow myself to be killed. Okay. If you can see clarity in it, then you have to stand on what God shows you. And I'm not trying to speak for that. But Jesus was one who spoke for all of us. He spoke for Mahatma Gandhi. He spoke for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He spoke for Malcolm X. He spoke for Medgar Evers. He spoke for all of those unknown people, publicly known, who likewise gave their lives for what was right. So I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, as I ask you, did your mother commit that she would stand up and be a light to how people should be treated in her living? Whether it was stopping abuse on others, or whether it was rejecting the abuse that comes forward. Were they doing that? Your mother, your father, your grandmama, the people that you know and love, that you say are in heaven, were they doing any of this? Or were they just standing up and refusing to cause any pain to anyone else themselves? Not trying to go out and stop it from everybody else, but refusing to cause any pain. When I say refusing to cause any pain, we live in a system that causes pain. A system that causes pain. So what they're doing in the thing to change the system. Were your people who you love, who were victims, so to speak, who were sleeping under buildings and in pasteboard boxes, freezing to death because of the coldness of heart that others bestowed upon them? Or did they resist in the name and in the power and the love of God? I ask you, if God, in his way of doing things, approached you in a way that you would understand that it is God, and said, I want you to go out and remind everyone you see, or everyone you can get in touch with, that I am God. I am the creator of all that exists, and all things belong to me, God. And nothing belongs to any human being, anywhere, at any time. And that the systems of the world dishonor me, God. And I want change. What would you do? Would you be obedient and go and share that message? Or would you not? What would you do? Well, ladies and gentlemen, God has blessed this moment. I've had a wonderful time sharing this with you. I'm so glad I got it out. And I'm going to go and prepare it so I can put it in a format that I can distribute it to as many people as I possibly can. And I really, really, really hope that it benefits you. Because God knows the world needs you. America needs you. Minnesota, each state needs you. Each city throughout this world needs you. Each town, each home needs you. By George, I need you. So having said that, I'll say my last 3 words to you. Peace, prosperity, and joy.